Hi, readers. Welcome to our April book club discussion. This month, the Read It Forward book club read The Jetsetters by Amanda Eyre Ward, and there is a lot to talk about. I'm Emma, the product manager at Read It Forward.
And I'm Jess, the assistant editor.
Unfortunately, Abby's a little bit under the weather, so she's not joining us today, but she'll be back next month. And
Yes.
in the meantime, you can grill her on her various social media platforms about this book. That's what
She'll
we've
love
been
that.
doing. Yeah, tell her I sent you.
Yeah.
um, okay, I'm always really bad at recapping the book, which is why we usually make Abby do it. Do you want to take a
Yes.
stab at it, Jess?
I will try, but no promises here. So the Jet Setters follows a family who's very dysfunctional. They are a dysfunctional family, and they are kind of estranged from each other. So the mother of the group, Charlotte, she wants to reconnect with her children, and she enters this contest to become a jet setter, which is basically a contest to enter, like, to win this cruise. And so she wins, or so we think. And she brings her children along on this cruise that goes all throughout the Mediterranean. And things just come out, like, drama ensues, and it's a pretty wild ride. It's not exactly what I was expecting, but it was really, really good. And that recap definitely wasn't great, but Abby
I
isn't
think you did
here,
a
so
great
it's the
job.
best I can
No,
do.
you did great.
Yeah,
Also,
thank you.
there's a little puppy butt behind you.
I saw the movement in my camera.
Hey, we welcome a little puppy butt at book club.
I have two little puppies here, so they might make appearances later.
Some good book club colleagues.
Yeah, no, they're my coworkers.
Yeah, so this book, The Jetsetters, as Jess said, is about this family who is in various states of estrangement and the trip that they take around the Mediterranean. Um, should we talk a little bit about the relationships between the characters?
Yeah,
So
for
we've
sure.
got the matriarch, Charlotte,
Yep.
then oldest daughter, Lee,
Lee, yes.
then which one's the middle
Cord.
child?
Cord, yeah.
Cord is the
So
middle child, and then, oh yes, and then of course the classic baby sister.
Reagan, yes.
So, as I understand it, when the book opens, Charlotte is in contact with all three of her children, but she's
Yes.
only physically close to Reagan, and
Yep.
she's only emotionally close to Lee.
Yes.
Cord is avoiding her,
Mm-hmm.
and in fact, avoiding his sisters to some extent as well,
Yes.
because he is not out to them. He
Yes.
is a gay man living in New York City, but with a
And
fiance.
yes, exactly.
But when he comes home to Savannah to see his family, he is still closeted. And he's finding it more and more difficult to deal with the duality of his Savannah personality and his real life.
Yes.
Um, we have Lee, the oldest, who is a failed, I guess, actress. It's rude
Yeah.
to say that because I don't think you can ever be failed until you stop trying.
Yes.
But she is an actor in Hollywood who kept thinking she was about to get her big break, and her big break
Never
has
did.
not come.
Mm-hmm.
She has
She
recently.
recently split up with her boyfriend, which is also a secret.
Everybody's got a lot of secrets going on.
Yes.
The baby, Reagan, is an adult.
Yeah.
She's just the baby of their family.
Once the
um,
baby, always the baby.
uh-huh. She lives in Savannah near her mother. She's
Mm-hmm.
married to a man we learn later on is Lee's high school sweetheart.
Yes.
And they're having marital issues. She's deeply unhappy in their marriage.
And she has 2 children whom she loves dearly. Yes.
And so the relationship between Lee and Reagan is super strained because of the
obvious reasons.
Overlapping boyfriend situation. Yeah. And also because it turns out he's a jerk and tried to get back with Lee
on their wedding rehearsal night, which is like disgusting.
What else? Who else has drama going on? Let's see.
Charlotte, obviously, like I would argue that she doesn't really have drama going on currently, but I mean, she has problems of her own.
Can we talk?
Yes.
Did she sleep with Picasso?
Oh my God. I really just need to know. I have no clue. I was trying to like figure it out. I could not, do it. I really would love to know if she did.
Readers, sound off in comments below.
Please provide your input. I thought Charlotte was interesting. I felt bad for her, honestly, in many ways. I also found her to be very problematic in many ways, so it was kind of conflicting. But I think that's what I loved about this book, is because none of these characters were totally likable. They all had their own traits that were very unlikable, but they all have problems, and they all have, things that they are trying to control and can't. And so I don't know. It was an emotional ride for me, because I really felt for each of these characters in different ways.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This book really packs an emotional wallop.
Yes.
It's a very bright, fun, beachy cover, and yes, I fell prey to the number one rule is don't judge a book by its cover, but I did, and I went in expecting a romp, full stop, a romp. Especially because I think that it had, hello puppy, it had been billed to us as, now I'm going to forget what the comps were, but a combination of 2 fun, beachy titles that we had enjoyed in the past. And I was like, sign me up.
I remember you were so excited because you were like,
yes,
a very light read.
I was begging for a light read.
As I was reading it, I was like, oh no, this is not what Emma thought it was.
Yes, well, it turns out read it forward readers love to just dig in there and get real. Yeah. This book tackles parental issues, depression, suicide, miscarriage, internalized homophobia, alcoholism, abusive relationships. They go in on everything in this household. Which it meant that there was, for me, more emotional resonance than maybe there would have been if it was just a romp. But it was unexpected for me personally. Also, I just want to pause for 1 second because you sent over the great book club kit for this book, which we can link to on site. But there's a letter from the author, and I just want to read a little bit of how she introduced it, because I think it's so interesting. Yeah. So she says, "The idea for the novel The Jetsetters began one morning in my kitchen in Austin, Texas. I'm a mother of 3, and my kitchen was lively and hectic. As my kids ate Honey Nut Cheerios, I paged through a travel magazine. I saw an ad for a Mediterranean cruise, and a voice in my mind said, 'Amanda, you do not belong in this bathrobe in an Austin kitchen. You belong on the balcony of a cruise ship, gazing at a foreign sea.' The next morning, I woke with a cast of characters in my imagination. A single mother named Charlotte Perkins and her 3 adult children, who had grown away from each other and themselves. I knew they deserved a cruise to bring them back together. When forced back into each other's lives, I wanted them to be vulnerable, open up, and really see each other, maybe for the first time. Well, first of all, I love that the inspiration came so directly from real life, and then
Yes.
in the book was mirrored, but then changed so much from her own circumstances. But also, well, it's like that classic thing, like everyone wants to know where authors' ideas come from.
Yes.
And so often it's so hard to pinpoint. But Amanda Eyre Ward can say,
she was like, this is how it happened.
Honey Nut Cheerios in my kitchen.
Yeah.
There was Charlotte Perkins.
Yeah.
Springing fully formed from her head like Athena.
You know what's so funny is I hadn't read that part of it because I suck and I never read things through fully. So when I read the kit myself, I kind of like just skimmed over that. So I'm glad that you read it. And I'm glad I know where the idea for the cruise came from, because I was wondering, like, you know, why set it on a cruise. And obviously I had my own thoughts. I was like, well, on a cruise, you really can't escape your family. So I thought that maybe she was using that setting as a way to, like, confine them and be forced to reckon with each other.
Yeah, what is that book? 7 Days of Us? Where the family gets stuck together in a house.
Yes.
This is like almost like a closed room mystery. They're just trapped on a cruise ship. I think also what makes the cruise ship a really interesting setting for this, or like vacation in general, is you can't escape the people you're there with, but you can in some ways escape yourself or who you are when you're at home. And
it's funny because people have vacation personas. Like, they will change on vacation to become the person that they kind of wish they were.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, like a wish fulfillment. And so the vacation itself is wish fulfillment for Charlotte. And we find out exactly how much so because at the end of the book, it's revealed that she did not actually win the essay contest. She instead was tricked by Lee, who stole her famous ex-boyfriend's... Well, I guess she didn't steal the credit card. It was, you know, she had access to it because they had just broken up. But she fraudulently used her ex-boyfriend's credit card to pay for this extravagant trip.
My mind was blown at that.
I loved that twist.
No idea. I believed that Charlotte won, and I kind of, in a way, I was like rooting for her because she was kind of like following her dreams at an older age. And so I was like, yes, you're a good writer. Your story won.
Also, her dream, just so everyone is on the same page, was to like have a spicy romance.
Yeah.
Which, like, good for her.
Happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that can be what vacations are for.
Yeah, and I loved that part, actually, because I liked that Amanda had this elderly woman with, like, a fire in her heart and her loins. And I like that there was that romantic element for her, because sometimes I feel like, you know, you're supposed to lose your sexuality at some point as you age, and I liked that it was still very much there, and that she was super into these like cheesy romance novels, and I liked that part of her. So
very cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not even sure how to tackle this book because there are so many things to talk about. Is there one sibling in particular that you felt like really resonated for you, their journey?
I think that Lee's journey definitely resonated with me as an older sibling. So I'm actually in the middle. I have two siblings, but I have a younger sister.
I thought you meant of the book, and I was about to be like...
No,
Even though I knew that you finished.
I finished it, I swear. No, I am a middle child. So I have an older sibling and I have a younger sibling. But, I consider myself an older sibling. And Lee always trying to protect and shield her younger siblings from everything really resonated with me because you do kind of feel like you have to be a rock for everybody else, and because of that you kind of push your own problems away. And with everything with her father, and she like dealt with the brunt of it, and she kind of tried everything to make it easier for her siblings. And she kept that secret about the truth behind Winston's death, which was that he committed suicide and that she found him.
Because he committed suicide in her bathroom.
Yes, which was horrifying and shaped who she was tremendously. And she never got to speak about it or confront that truth because her other siblings thought it was a heart attack. And so, even to her late 30s, which is how old she is in the book, she kept that from them and did it with them in mind. She still wanted to protect them, I think, at that age. And so I definitely resonated with her, and I think she spoke to me the most. But that being said, I did really feel for Cord too, I think. And Reagan, it's hard because they all had their like respective struggles, but I would say I think Lee's experience spoke to me.
Something I think that I noticed, which means I should have seen the twist coming, but I really did not, is throughout the book, everyone had a part of themselves that they were expressing that was very sympathetic, but Charlotte was making bad decisions. Lee was making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Cord was making tremendously bad decisions, especially for his sobriety.
Yep.
But Reagan seemed to be just fully sympathetic. And I thought that was so interesting while I was reading most of the book, thinking like, everyone else has... there's more gray area for the other characters. I wonder why the author chose to make Reagan so sympathetic. And then the reveal at the end is that actually Reagan has done something kind of like Machiavellian.
It was crazy. She had this whole plan, and I was shocked. And I think like...
It was like very Patricia Highsmith, like like a talented Mr. Ripley type reversal or reveal. And it just kind of, it blew my mind, and I was like, aha!
Yeah, no, I really loved that twist. I think I was more surprised at so many things that happened at the end of the book than I ever thought I would be. Like the whole twist about the jet setter contest, then Reagan's own twist, and like Lee's, incident at the end where she thinks about jumping off the boat. Like there were so many things that happened where I just thought this was going to be like a nice cruise. But which character resonated with you the most?
Well, so I think Reagan, but I wouldn't have said it until the end of the book because I just found it so satisfying for this person who is a pleaser and feels her role is to be a helpmeet and smooth things over and do things for other people, realizing that she doesn't have enough agency in her life and deciding to find a way to take it back, even though the way she does that is like very out there. I liked that journey a lot because one of the things that really, really rankled me at the beginning of the book, one of the wonderful things about this novel is that we get all four of the Perkinses points of view.
Yeah.
So we really get their interiority, and we get this kind of Shroud of Rashomon situation where when you see an incident from multiple characters' points of view, you understand that there's not necessarily one objective truth, but people bring different things to it and get different things from it, etc.
Yep.
But the part that really rankled me was that as a little 8-year-old on, what was it, Friday nights,
Mm-hmm.
one night a week, Reagan would go around, collect everyone's dirty laundry, wash, dry, and fold it, and
Yeah.
place it outside of their bedroom doors. And then in the very next chapter, you find out that Lee, for her whole life, has thought that that was their mother who was doing that. And it
Yep.
was really her 8-year-old sister.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that got me. Because
Yeah.
it's just like how you can love someone so much, but fundamentally misunderstand who they are and what they do for you. So
And
I
I think,
also, oh, you go.
sorry. Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I think that it was so special to kind of see that unfold, like exactly how much you might not understand about the people that you're closest with, and how many times you can misinterpret something. And I liked that we saw that from every point of view. Like, you know, one minute you'll see that this character is doing something, and the next you'll see how, like you said, it was completely not known by, you know, another character. And I felt like that was super real. I think that's just how I felt this whole book. Like, I feel like, you know, maybe not everything, I can't relate to everything. Obviously, there was a lot going on, but like these little bits and pieces of how like a family can totally just miss things is
Mm-hmm.
so relatable.
Yeah, and also I loved that they all genuinely cared about each other and noticed things about each other and tried to live up to what they wanted to be for each other, but still there was so much room for hurt and misunderstanding. You hear from several characters. There's one night where Cord doesn't return to the ship, nobody goes to dinner. I think poor Lee is having a miscarriage. Like, so much stuff is going on, and they all get up the next morning and think, nobody even noticed I was gone.
Yep.
So I really liked that look at how what you think of as a fact and something that can be very hurtful to you is almost never the whole story.
Yes.
Um, Also, I don't want to make this seem like too much of a downer book. It was fun and funny, and they all
It
went on
was
adventures.
fun.
Like, it definitely delivered on that promise. I just I wasn't expecting it also to be so like meaty and issues based, but it
Yes.
was still fun. I laughed out loud reading this book.
Yep.
I loved the descriptions of all the different locales. What
Oh
was
my
your
God,
favorite place they visited?
okay, well, I'm going to be a little biased here because my whole family is from Malta. And so I've actually never read a book where, like a fictional book, where anything happens in Malta because it's such a small place and often like so overlooked. But uh, in this book, it was such a, like a feature. Like, I feel like they talked about it for so long, and it was so cool to see. And Amanda has actually been there, and I know that because she DM'd me on Instagram.
Oh,
Yeah, I was actually raving about how I loved that Malta was featured, and she DM'd me, not knowing who I was actually. Like, she didn't know I work on Read It Forward, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're enjoying this part of the book." And I was like, "Yeah, my whole family is from here, so I'm loving like all the little details that you're putting in because it's such a beautiful place with so much history." And she actually told me a little snippet of information that I think I want to share with you all. So she told me that in the original version of the book, Lee actually stayed with Kiko.
I wondered.
So I loved that little piece of information, and
That's like her sliding doors moment.
exactly. And so, yeah, I think that's my favorite part just because she got it so right. And it's because she's actually been there, which I learned also. And just seeing little things about the Maltese like way of life really made me miss my family and miss being there. So,
I will admit I saw you posted that on Instagram. So that's why I asked, because I was pretty sure I knew. But what was funny for me was when you posted all that, I hadn't started reading yet. So I didn't realize you were reading the Jet Setters at first.
oh,
And then
okay.
I must have been about 75 pages behind you. So later, either later that day or the next morning, I got to the same part.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering, the town that they call Marshmallow, and you said yes, that's exactly how Americans would pronounce it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's it actually called?
Marcia Schlock. And I'm saying that with a little bit of like an American accent too. It's a very hard language because most of it is rooted in Arabic. So it is very hard to pronounce, mostly everything. But Abby actually, I'll do this for her because she had wanted me to teach you something in Maltese.
Yes, please.
And so I will teach you how to say, how are you? And it's kifint.
Kifint.
Yes. And then you would say, if you're good, you would say taiba.
Taiba.
Yes.
So I would say
that's,
Kifint.
and I would say taiba. Yeah.
Yay.
And there you go. I had to do that because she asked me. And yeah.
Learning never ends.
What was your favorite place?
Ooh, I don't know if I can decide. I think where is it in Florence where Reagan is like, I cook every day of my life.
And I don't
to
want
hell
to
with this
anymore.
pasta class. Somebody get me a cab.
Yes.
I liked that.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like that was when her character was finally starting to be less of just like the go along to get along. And I loved her igniting her passion for art on the trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved descriptions of visual art in books are so fun to me because you don't have to be a great artist to write a great description of art, if that makes sense.
Yep,
so, I mean,
yep.
Maybe Amanda Eyre Ward is a great artist. I don't know. I don't know her. But the way that she described, both from Reagan's point of view and from her family members' points of view, the collage-style art that she did growing up and that she returns to over the course of the book, I was really into that. I also loved the scenes in Malta. I think they have the most interesting experience there because it deviates from the prescribed tour.
Yes.
And I was kind of waiting for
Kiko and
Lee to go back. I liked the growth for her character that she decided that she was going to learn to be on her own, but then also like maybe you could fly back at a later date.
Yeah. There, and also the one thing I do want to touch on is like, again, I want to like stress that it is fun to read this book and like go on this adventure. And especially right now because we are obviously at home. And so I really enjoyed reading a book about going to other beautiful places when all we can do is stay at home. So I just want to stress that again. It is a fun book to read with a lot of emotion in it, but very fun.
And I found the ending extremely hopeful.
Yes. I think there's hope for this family in the end.
And each of the individual characters, while there may be some backslides and everything's not perfect, they've all made huge strides toward being what they consider a better version of themselves. So in that
Yes.
way, I found the ending like very satisfying and definitely a happy ending, not a depressing ending.
Yes. Which is great.
Yes, I needed a little happy in my life, and it certainly fulfilled that.
Yeah. So I feel like we could go on forever. Should we call it a day, or should we keep going? Because I am happy to do either or. I can talk about so many things. So
I feel like we should call it a day, but before we do, I would like to propose
oh god.
the Read It Forward Mediterranean Cruise
Yes.
2022.
To be safe. Yeah.
Think it over. Could be fun.
Yeah.
We could
Oh my gosh.
run a book club on the ship.
Yes. And wait, Abby, me, and you, we're all already automatically going, right? Like,
Yeah, we're running it.
okay.
Or maybe that'd be too much work. Maybe we'll be the special guests.
So we can enjoy it and not really do that much. I love this.
Well, thank you for joining me. I miss your face.
I miss your face. You're so pretty.
And let's see, what does Abby tell the people?
Um,
Join our Facebook group.
Oh yeah. Okay. Join our Facebook group because that's where all of this good discussion takes place. That's where the, bulk of our book club happens. So we would love to see you there, and we would love to see what you think. So comment on this video.
And if you want to follow us on social, we're basically everywhere at Read It Forward. And
Yep.
if you need a new book to read, you can check out our recommendations at readitforward.com.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.